Happy Monday and welcome to Casting the Net, Reeling in Holistic Health, where we care about your mental health and well-being. I'm your host, Coach Rice, and I want to make sure that you tune in every Monday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, where I have my special guest on to talk about real issues that matter most. I want you to check us out on YouTube, Facebook Live, on Business Facebook page, also on the Be Awesome Network. Stay tuned. I think you're going to really like this next guest. Happy Monday and welcome to Casting the Net, where we care about your mental health and well-being. I am your host, Coach Rice, and with me today I have Cristy Berry. She is a Be Fit holistic health and wellness coach. And so, Cristy, tell us where you're from, and also tell us more about what is a Be Fit holistic health and wellness. I've had so many people come on with health and wellness. Let's get to the root of like what's going on. What is it? What it's all about?
Yes. So I am a holistic health and wellness practitioner. Have a PhD in natural medicine, and my practice has really evolved from my own health journeys over the years, the last 17 years. And so I have experience with personal training, nutrition, and I really felt like adding the education and the empowerment part of helping women. Specifically, I help all different ages, but specifically women who are dealing with health crisis, who've searched all the doctors. They've been told everything's normal, nothing's wrong with them. And that's how I felt. And so, about 15 years ago, when I had my health situations happen, I began a journey really to find alternative things to help me heal. Because I just felt like our medical system was not serving me the way it should. And so I just started, researching, getting educated, doing all that on my own. And then as I started healing myself, I thought, I can't keep this a secret. God's given me this ability, this passion, and this purpose to serve others and to share that with them. And I can't just sit here with my own healing journey and not share it with other people. So that really propelled me into doing more and going on to get my certification as a holistic practitioner, went back to school, got my PhD in natural medicine, and then that's where we are
Wow.
today. I'm actually in Florida and I'm a virtual practitioner. So it doesn't matter where you are, I'm able to help you in your health journey. So that's really an obstacle a lot of people struggle with is, oh, I don't have time to get to the doctor. I can't make the appointments. Oh, you're in another state. That's not the case here. So I can serve everyone.
Oh, that's amazing. Tell us
Yeah.
about like what was your, if you don't mind sharing,
Yeah.
what was your journey that got you from this point in your life? What was your health journey like?
Yeah, so you've probably heard people talk about trauma and how it impacts them. And I didn't really understand that. Back in 2007, my husband lost his job, and that was a situation that really created an overwhelm for me internally. I felt like I had it all together, doing all the things we needed to do to start making, decisions with the loss of income, but I didn't really realize how it was internally impacting me. And at that point, I started having just these random things happening, heart palpitations, migraine headaches, just things that weren't normal for me. I was a mom of small kids. I was active. I ate pretty healthy. And I had already started to change a few things in my life, exercise wise and in eating. And so I thought, well, how could this be? I'm a young mom. This is not possible for me to have these things happening. So kind of fast forwarding after people would say, oh, there's nothing wrong with you. Your labs are normal. We can't find anything. I'm like, there is something wrong. I don't feel like myself. And getting connected with the right practitioners to help initially do some diagnosis. But I'm here to say you're not defined by your diagnosis. So hear me out on that. But that was just my initial situation. And so I was diagnosed with PCOS, insulin resistance, um, Graves' disease, which is a thyroid disease, metabolic syndrome, which incorporates a whole lot of things, cholesterol, heart health, you name it. I was gaining weight, couldn't figure that out. I was exhausted, had migraine headaches. I went in for MRIs, all the things. They could find nothing wrong. And they said, oh, it must just be hormonal. Let me put you on medication. And then also let's put you on anti-anxiety and antidepressants because you're just overwhelmed. You're just a busy mom. You just can't handle it. And I thought, no, that's not what's going on, you know? And so I decided after a few years because I wasn't getting better. And that's really the situation I was in. You know, I thought that's what you're supposed to do. That was the model I had always learned about, heard about, thought that's what we were supposed to do. You go to the doctor, you get the pill, they fix you, you're on your way, right? But that did not happen for me. I didn't get better. I actually started getting worse. And through that,
Mm.
I thought, the system's failing me. They're not helping me. They keep dismissing me. No, they're not listening, but I know what I feel on a day-to-day basis. And I thought, you know, either I decide this is where I'm going to live for the rest of my life in this situation, or I'm going to have to do something about this and start figuring out what is happening, listening to my body more, and advocating. And that's really where it all started. And when you start advocating for yourself, things change in big ways because you're not just being told what to do, you're actually having a say in your health, your life, your lifestyle, all of that. And so, you know, going back to the whole situation of trauma, we don't really understand, or I think we take it for granted when something tragic happens to us or around us. Our bodies go into this fight or flight situation, and it can be permanent. We can get in that cycle of, you know, our bodies feel like we're being chased by a bear all the time when we're just sitting at our desk working on our computer. But all of that inside internally is affecting us. It affects our hormones. It affects our nervous system, you know, our brain health, our respiratory system. Every ounce of your body can be affected by that. And we can't keep dismissing it because it can end up turning into something that is considered a mental health issue. And that's not really who you are and what's happening, but that's how we're labeled and that's what is thought about us. But instead, we have trauma from our past. Maybe it was from our childhood or something recently that's happened, like a divorce or a loss of a loved one, that we just have not worked through. And I'm just here to tell you, if you don't work through those things, it will show up at some point. And it's not going to be something that is subtle. It's going to get your attention because all these things just add upon things. And then if you don't have a healthy lifestyle, then it's gonna be something worse, maybe like a heart attack or a stroke, or a diagnosis of something worse. So that's where we don't want to be there.
That is so true, Christy,
Yeah.
because our body speaks to us and we have to
Yes.
listen. And our emotions, it's our body saying, pay attention to this. You're
Yeah.
sad, but let's work through the sadness.
Right.
You're anxious, let's work through the anxiety. And
Hmm.
we want to shove it under the rug until we trip over it, and it's not healthy. And advocating for yourself is so key, like you said, because
Yeah.
imagine if you would have went through each diagnosis and took all that
Yeah.
medication.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious, your body would have really been confused.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
do expect them as professionals to help us, but if
Right.
they're not going to listen to us, that's
Yeah.
a problem. And that happens a lot
It
because we're
does.
so complex. They
Yeah.
want to give us a generalization. I've been through that, and it was what was wrong with me. It took 9 months for them to figure it out. And so didn't you know deep down inside
Yeah.
something was not right?
Yeah, and I think the thing is when we go to doctors in our medical system, They are specialized in their particular area. They're really knowledgeable. A surgeon is really good at what he does, but he doesn't know anything about hormones. He doesn't know about the thyroid. He just knows like how to take it out, how to put something in, how to sew you up. That's his lane that he stays in. And so oftentimes we get shuttled around to all these different people and their specialties, but none of them are looking at our bodies as one whole piece.
Right.
And we can stand in front of a mirror and we're definitely one whole unit. We're not just bits and pieces that
Right.
are just hanging around hoping to connect one day.
Right.
We're all connected internally and externally. Like we're all fascinated together, every part of our body, and it works that way from our head to our toes. So the things you think about impact your body. They impact your respiration, impact your blood flow. It's far beyond just having negative thoughts or a mindset or just sadness or anxiety, like you mentioned. It goes far beyond that because it does end up becoming systemic. It affects everything in your body. And then it gets really, really complex because then there are all these weird symptoms that you're experiencing. But it's not, there's nothing wrong with your brain because you have a migraine. It has to do with, the nervous system and how it's impacting that. But that just happens to be where it settles itself in your body and shows up as a symptom. So you do have to
Yes.
listen.
Yes. And so your clientele is women, mostly women. So what does your onboarding process look like for a client?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when people reach out to me and they want to know a little bit more about what I do to see if I'm a good fit for them and what their needs are, we schedule a 15-minute discovery call. It's just a quick call for me to get a little bit of information about them to see if I'm going to be the right practitioner for them, and then for them to see if I'm going to be the right practitioner for them. So that way they can say, oh, that's what she's telling me is not really what I'm looking for. I need something different. And it's just a good time to really start that initial conversation and trust with each other. And then we set up an hour-long initial visit. I look at blood labs, I evaluate any other testing they've done. Maybe I need to send them for testing too. And we go over a complete medical and health history, just so I can know what happened when you were a small child, and those things are going to impact you today when you're 42 years old. It's not just what happened yesterday or last year, right? It's the culmination of things over time that we have to look at. So I'm looking at, really the person throughout their lifespan thus far, and really seeing, how are symptoms triangulating really. So we look at different points. It's not just a pill for an ill as we're used to knowing about, but it's really looking at root causes. So that's the difference that I have in my practice is, I'm the detective. So I'm going to continue diving in and figuring out whether it be testing or just trying to, understand how you're feeling and why these symptoms are present. Because we do want our symptoms gone, right? We don't want to wake up feeling yucky every day. Um,
No.
but, we can't just piece all the symptoms and just say, okay, I'm just going to throw all these symptoms out and let's just start, you know, taking care of each one of them. It just doesn't work that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So you Dr. Christie, actually.
I am. Yeah.
With that in mind, when you find out something is wrong, you gather, how do you get the blood work? Like, is that blood work that you send them for with their doctor? How do you actually get that blood work?
Yes, so if some people already have recent labs in the last 3 to 4 months, then they can send those directly to me. I have a HIPAA compliant portal. They can upload those in there. If it's something that it's been, typically we don't go to the doctor a lot. And so if it's been a year or more, then I'm going to send them a lab order and they can go to Quest or LabCorp and get those labs done. And those can come back to me. If they have a general practitioner that they prefer to use for that, then they're welcome to do that. I will let them know what labs I would like to have received back, and then they'll go get those taken care of with the other practitioner. So I like to let people know that I work as a part of someone's care team. So if you have other
Okay.
practitioners that you're working with, it's not that you have to choose one or the other. I think building a good care team is important because we all serve different purposes. And we all have to jump in and help people in their healing journey in different ways because we're not all able to do everything there is to do when it comes to
Right.
the body.
I like how you said you need a care team.
Yeah.
And let's frame that for someone. Let's kind
Okay.
of get into it.
Okay.
If someone came to you, and how would you put together a care team for someone who maybe was dealing with menopause and it
Yeah,
was
that's
really
a that's a big topic there.
right. What would a care team look like? How would you frame that for someone to visually see it?
Yeah, so as a
And
woman
what
that's
would you
going through
suggest? Yeah.
menopause, yeah, they've already probably had an OBGYN or gynecologist in the past. So we bring that person in, or I can recommend someone that they go to, just to make sure physically everything is well, internally in their body. If they've had a hysterectomy or if they've had any other types of surgeries, it's important to have someone understanding the physiological part of what they've gone through as well to make sure that everything's, the plumbing's working. Um, and then we can also look at all of the hormones. Sometimes OBGYNs can look at that and know how to read hormones and address that. I like to take a natural approach. So I don't prescribe. I look at everything naturally. And so that's where that carotene comes in. I can take a step back and say, okay, these are the nutrients that your body needs to support the perimenopause to menopause age range and the changes that you're going through. These are the things that are going to help your body continue producing estrogen when everything's starting to drop off. And then if women are having these symptoms, what I have really found with menopause is that it's nutrient deficiencies, poor lifestyle. And then when you start to solve those things, those symptoms, the hot flashes, the night sweats, the irritability, the weight gain, all of those things that come along with the menopause years, they begin to drop off and go away because now we're nourishing our body and it's getting what it needs. So that's what we really see. So in addition to that, obviously, I would be helping on the natural care side. If someone needed something, as far as like massage therapy, or if they needed someone that was going to be able to help them with some sort of prescription, that person would come in handy. Like a hormone, someone that would be able to prescribe hormone replacement therapy. Even though that's not my lane and I don't prescribe that, I feel like it is necessary at times when you've done all the initial things first. So, ladies, don't just jump to hormones. That's not the solution to your problems. We have to look at other things like our gut health because that's where all the signals are sent. Whether you're dealing with anxiety or depression, or you're dealing with hormone changes, our gut has to be taken care of. So, going back to your question about building that team, it's finding those practitioners that are going to serve you best. And it looks really different for everyone based on their past history, what they've gone through, if they've had surgeries, if they've had children or not, if they've had, any sort of diagnosis like PCOS. It gives me some ideas of who those other care team members would be.
Okay. I like how you frame that. Because I hear it a lot, and I agree with you. You need a team.
Yeah,
Sometimes you just can't put everyone just with internal medicine. It's like,
right.
okay, now how do we deal with this? And I like how you went into we need, what about the gynecologists? Let's see if all the
Yeah.
parts are working,
Yeah.
all of these things. And then the gut health and
Yeah.
adding in a nutritionist. I love that.
Yeah.
That's putting together a real team and showing that you're being seen and heard.
Yeah, and also think that sometimes people do need to see a therapist to work through those trauma situations because that's not what I do. I'm here to encourage and give resources, but that's not my specialty. So I always tell people, don't feel like that's a bad thing to get additional coaching or therapy where you need to have that because it's important in that whole approach to healing. We can't just
Oh,
do parts of it. We
absolutely.
have to do the whole thing.
Absolutely. And do you take insurance?
I do not. It's basically insurance doesn't take me. So in natural health, when you're dealing with natural health, there's very few options other than
Okay.
cash pay because insurance doesn't typically recognize the services that we offer because we can't give a diagnosis that correlates to a pharmaceutical. So that's really the gist of how that goes.
That makes sense. That makes sense. That since you're, doctor, I just want to make sure,
Yeah.
some people do take insurance, some people don't. And
Yeah.
you got a point when you're dealing with natural ways of doing things,
Yeah.
you kind of messing up their field. No. No. In a sense, you kind of like infiltrate it. No, I'm just kidding. But
No,
it's
I
a
think
good
it,
thing because we need natural and
yeah,
because they're practicing medicine. And
right.
so half the stuff they're giving you is side effects anyway, right? And
Correct.
so I would never, you know, say don't take your medicine because I'm not a doctor, but
Absolutely not. Yes.
just to put
Yeah.
that disclaimer out there.
Right.
I
Right.
like to go the natural way. Show me the natural way so I
Yeah.
can do that first. Um so yeah, so that I love what you do. So what if be fit, why be fit? What made you select that particular name?
Yeah, so this started years ago when I was starting out as a personal trainer. That was the name of my business, and it's morphed into Be Fit Holistic Health and Wellness. Because I think that the image that we see of healthy people is not health. We don't say health, we say someone's fit. If we look at them and they're they're not overweight. They have clear skin. They're vibrant. They have a glow about them. They are able to move and walk, and they seem like someone that has optimal health. We say, "Oh, that person is fit." That's just kind of a terminology that
That
we
is
like to
true.
use to identify that. We don't say, "Oh, that's a healthy person right there." We just don't use that as a term. To kind of identify how people look when we see them. And so I think fitness does come into this, nutrition comes into this. Again, it's that holistic approach and it's the whole body. So we can't just look at, again, parts of it. We have to be exercising and moving our body. It impacts our brain health, our gut health. And the idea is to understand all these pieces that may seem overwhelming but are definitely necessary if you want to live optimally. Because who just wakes up one morning and says, "Yeah, I don't think I want to walk in 2 years."
Right.
You
Right.
know, we don't
No
do
one.
that.
No one.
But
Right.
we sit around and do the things we do and wait till that happens, and then we have an injury or we have a situation
Hmm.
happen where we're no longer able to be as mobile as we once were. Now we can't travel. Now we can't go out and take the walks with our dog like we used to. So it impacts you greatly. So don't wait until those things happen to you. Be proactive. Do something to make those changes now because it's never too late. Doesn't matter how young or how old you are. It's time to take control of your health and be that advocate because it's your body. You're the only one who
Yes.
knows your body you know it.
Hmm.
I don't know your body like you know it. So if you tell me something doesn't seem right or you don't feel right, that's what it is. I can't discredit that or say, oh, well, that
Right.
doesn't make sense. Um, because you know how you feel and don't feel. And so I think people need to really take ownership of that. Because like you said early on in our conversation, our body's telling us something all the time. But I would say probably 80 to 90% of the time we're not listening because we're just too busy,
Exactly.
you know?
And you know what? And you've been an investigator that you said you were in the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah.
So are you still doing personal training as well within your
Yeah,
business as
actually,
well?
I do. I have a couple clients I do personal training with. But where some of that comes in is even the clients in my holistic practice, I give them exercises to do. So, some sort of a fitness routine if they're physically able to do that in their health journey. Sometimes it may take a while, but everybody can walk. So that's where everyone starts. You can get out and walk and get sunshine every single day. You can walk in the grass, you can breathe fresh air. So, no matter what your fitness level is, you don't have to think of fitness as going to the gym and, hitting all the machines. It can be as simple as using bands or body weight. I mean, I just taught a HIIT class this morning, actually, and we do body weight because that is very effective. So, again, if you're not able to get to a gym, if you're not physically able to do heavy lifting because you've had surgery or an injury, your body is enough weight to do a squat, um, and to do a lunge and to do sit-ups. So we don't need all the fancy equipment. We just need to move our bodies.
So you did the HIT class virtually.
Actually, I do that in person.
Do that in person. So
Yeah,
do you do any fitness? Do you do anything virtually that's related to personal training?
I do not.
Okay, I just wanted to
Yeah,
make that clear, clear
yeah.
distinction. Okay, so it's in person when it comes to the fitness part.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you do with the clients who you have virtual that need to have the fitness portion as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. So most people know how to do certain movements. I can also send them videos. So if they don't know proper form for a squat, for instance, or a lunge, then I would send them a video to explain to them how to do that. But I keep things very simple. Unless someone is in a situation where they've been active and lifting weights, that's kind of a level up on fitness, going beyond just walking or moving your body or riding a bike. But if someone is really proficient, has been doing that for a long time, they probably already know how to do most of that. So it's mainly just instruction. But someone who's new starting out, again, it's just walking, lifting things like, a gallon of milk or cans in the pantry. So it doesn't have to be complicated. And I think that's where a lot of us get frustrated. And then we think, oh, working out, we see just the gym and people lifting heavy weights, throwing things around, and being on a treadmill all day. That's not
Right.
what it's really about.
That is true, right?
Because I've tried all that and it
Right.
didn't work too well. So we still do need to be lifting weights. So as we age, it's a good point that you brought up
Yeah.
because, and again, lifting weights can be something body weight for some people. It could be using bands, or small dumbbells. So it doesn't have to, again, be something that is, over the top, expensive, or takes a lot of your time. But as we age, we need to keep our muscles strong. I always tell everybody, I'm like, the reason I lift weights is because I don't want to be that girl that can't lift up her carry-on suitcase and put it in the overhead bin when I'm traveling. I don't want to have to ask a man to do that for me. I want to be strong enough to lift up my suitcase, or to bend down on my knees and tie my shoes without having to
Yes.
have assistance to get back up. So we got to think about functionality of fitness and not just, trying to have a body image or just because someone
Yeah.
says so.
Yeah,
There's a
because I like to
purpose
just
behind.
be able to run around and chase my grandkids. That's good,
Yeah. Yeah, and
and
that's
have
that's
fun
a
with
great
them. That's what I want to do. Be able to get off the ground fast enough to chase them. And
Yeah, and that's a great point because most of the time people aren't looking out 5, 10, 15 years, right? We're just thinking about the here and now. But when you talk about doing that, for some people it might be now with grandkids, and some people it might be 10 years from now. What happens today is going to affect you 10 years from now. I promise you.
absolutely, I know.
Yeah.
I know. No, but so you have given us some really great information, and um, if you know, if you can give the audience one more piece of wisdom, we didn't. I know we didn't take it all out of you, but
Yeah.
just one more piece of wisdom you would like to leave with them before we go.
Yeah, I think a piece of wisdom is to sit down and evaluate your lifestyle as a whole. What are the things you put in your mind, like the books you read, the music you listen to, the podcast that you're just taking into your mind every single day? So just kind of take a notebook or a piece of paper, your phone or whatever you need to do to keep notes of all this, and just kind of take um, an analysis of your lifestyle. Are you drinking water and hydrating yourself every day? Are you having some sort of movement? Um, what are relationships like? Do you have boundaries in your life? These are all things that are important. I'm a faith-based practitioner, so spiritual time and growth is important for me personally and also for the clients in my practice because I think that is foundational. So sit down and take an inventory of where you are with that, and then that can kind of give you that big look into your life to see areas that you might not be thinking are impacting you, but it's a good place to start. And then from there, you start looking internally. What's my diet like? Am I eating out fast food 3 days a week? Can I cut back on that? Definitely will save you money. Am I buying a lot of processed foods? Do I eat ice cream every night because I have some sort of emotional trigger that makes me want to eat ice cream and I have all these cravings? So again, that's kind of taking into like, what's my body telling me? What kind of things can I start changing? So when we really start to look internally instead of looking externally at what other people are doing, but how can we better ourselves? I always say, you just need to try to be 1% better tomorrow than you were today. Even if it's just 5 minutes of something or 5 minutes less of something, like being on your cell phone, because that's causing issues in your life. Do those things
Oh,
because those will
yes.
make a big difference in your life.
Well, Christy, thank you so
Yeah.
much. Great, great, great advice. Do that inventory, like she said, and also reach out to her if you really want to know what holistic health look like in your personal journey. Reach out to Christy. Her links will be in the video, and that way you can reach out to her and book that 15-minute call to see if she's a good fit. And if you feel like this podcast was helpful, please do share and subscribe to the channel. People don't subscribe, but they sure listen. But please do subscribe and comment. Let us know what you think and how do you enjoying it. And Christy, thank you so much for coming on with us today. We
Yeah.
appreciate you, and I'm sure the audience definitely will benefit from the information that you have given us.
Yes. Thank you, Martha, for having me on.
And to the audience, have a fantastic Monday. Until then, we'll see you soon. It's your time to shine.